Well, a good afternoon and a warm welcome to putcomafani Conversations. And it's SA Leaders on Thursdays. And yes, as you probably have seen the poster, my guest today, my guest today being, of course, the PSL Senior Manager, Lux September. I'm just waiting for the program to respond. Ish, I guess I got to start it, close it, and open it again. Google Chrome not responding. What's that?
Feeling missing out on the things in life, on the things in life. When I'm so far from you, everything seems so dark. But I remember you gave me Everything seems so dark when I'm far from you. Seems so If you should ever feel lonely, just know I'm there by your side. There is no need to hide. I'm so far from you. We won't let this come in between, 'cause you're the best I have ever seen. Oh, Everything seems so dark when I'm far from you. Everything seems so dark when I'm far from you. It seems so
And yes, of course, those visuals with the compliments of intention, the visuals of the Premier Soccer League goals. Well, there's still more goals to come, and that's the good news because you know what? The PSL has done and has conducted the draw, and so we will be seeing the big game and top flight football in action again. My guest today on putcomafani Conversations every Thursday at 5, we host SA leaders. Okay, we've hosted a couple of leaders in the country. We've hosted Oscar Mabuya, and we were discussing, how COVID-19 impacts on the various aspects of our lives. We spoke about COVID-19 and the Eastern Cape. We spoke to Ace Nobo about COVID-19 and football. We spoke to Sisa Ntona, COVID-19 and tourism. We spoke to Sisa Ngebulana, COVID-19 and the property management sector and how it's affecting particularly the retail. We spoke to Judge Graham Mushwana. We're talking about COVID-19 and the courts and how courts are affected by COVID-19. SA leaders, and because COVID-19 causes major disruptions all on the left, on the right, and all around, and all our lives, COVID-19 ihlala iphazamisa, and those disruptions, if football was not immune to the COVID-19 disruptions, particularly because it is the game of the masses. It is a game where you expect throngs and throngs of people to come watch the game. It is a game that has a lot of role players in it. It would have players, it would have coaches, it would have security people, and many other role players. Okay, so it is a game that has been disrupted by COVID-19. But well, we'd love to congratulate the Premier Soccer League in South Africa. They've got the game back on track. The main man in the studio is PSL Senior Manager Luxolo September. Laxi, welcome, Lighty. Welcome to the putcomafani Conversations. What a pleasure, man, to host you today. It has been now how many years, Lux, that you've been with the PSL? I think wafika ngexesha labo Braden Libu.
I'm starting to feel like I'm the furniture here as well at the moment. But before I go into that, I need to tell you something. For me, it's an honor to.
Thanks for accepting the invite. I think let's get it on. What was the PSL's response when it was obvious that the COVID-19 was causing this disruption and the fixtures also were affected? What was your immediate stance as the PSL?
Yeah, you know what, Mkulua, first of all, I must say thank you for this invitation. I'm not sure about the title of leaders and so on. We leave that to the people, the ones who are called and the ones who are chosen, But first of all, to yourself, it was people like you, it was people like putcomafani, Sturu Pasia, Zola Dunywa, and a number of other people who inspired us, who showed us that you can come from the Eastern Cape and get into football administration. So for me, when I was young, I was always dreaming about just, we were sharing the platform with someone like putcomafani. I can see now he's disappeared. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do in studio and take over the show and make it mine, since he's obviously the connection it's failed him. I think while we're waiting for him, though, maybe I can just take you through of what is. This is my office, by the way. So let me take over Prapatko's page. This is my office at the PSL. You're probably wondering what is on my left here. So that's basically all the schedules from CAF, from FIFA, from our Bafana games, from the Glad Africa Championship, from the ABSA Premiership. So we've got a number of things that are there. So this is actually how we do, before we do the fixture. I think I must take you on that while we're waiting for Prapatko. So before we do the fixture, we literally go through, the first thing we do is that we look at what CAF has sent us, right? Well, FIFA calendar first. FIFA calendar of the international games, and also the friendly matches. We put that in the fixture. This will be, you can't see this, but it's somewhere there at the top, That's the FIFA schedule, that one. Afterwards, we go and check what CAF has. So this is the Champions League, this is CAF Interclub, this is CAF Champions League, CAF Confed Cup, CAF Super Cup, the Club World Cup, and so on and so forth. We take that and put it on that schedule, which should be the second one, not the far one, the one next to the far one. So this will be the second one. This is where we put everything else. We haven't even ingested our own fixture at that time. So the third thing we will do, we will look at so-called catch-up games, catch-up weekends, on catch-up dates for some of our matches. We will put it there before the second one, before it goes to the third one, right? The third one is where the fixture goes. So I decided to take your Brapadko. I decided to take over your page, and I was taking people through how we make the fixture. So I thought that might be just good, So it gave me an opportunity to show people what we do in the process of putting together a fixture, which is, again, I was saying earlier, the first one at the top there is the FIFA date. The second one there will be CAF, so interclub. So the FIFA dates is like the internationals, will be the qualifiers and so on and so forth. The second one is the CAF one, whereby we put all the interclub, when Sundowns or Pirates or Chiefs or whoever, or Bidvest Vets is playing in the Champions League or the Confed Cup. And we will also feature some of the CAF matches. We'll put some of the dates for Junior Championship and so on and so forth. Then the third one, it looks very busy, and it is definitely busy. That's where we actually ingest the fixture for the ABSA Premiership, for the Great Africa Championship. You will have all the dates there, and you will have every weekend filled by an activity, including Christmas. Well, on Christmas we don't play, but there is the Champions League that is playing on Christmas. So that's what happens. So every time when people say they must find dates, you must know it looks like this. There are no dates available. Definitely no dates. So anyway, I think in the meantime, let me just take a few questions. Maybe some of you can send me a few questions, and I can answer them before Padko comes back.
Okay.
He needs to,
yeah.
Since I took over his page and I became the presenter, he must give me a little bit of payment for this. Where is he? There you go. Much better. I'm done with my propaganda. Prapadko, can you hear me? Okay, so looks like the connection is just dying every second there with him. As I said, I was just looking forward today to sharing some of our plans and thinking. I look casual now, but every day I've been wearing a tie the whole week. But today I was so tired. I needed something light and something that is not as suffocating here at the office. And I was just looking forward, as I said, to talking to some of you and giving you my input on a few things. So unfortunately, I can't see questions because I'm not part of the live broadcast. If I could see some of the questions, I was going to be able to answer some of the questions that you might. Oh, please ask Lux if clubs will be allowed to register any new players between now and the end of the season. Good question. No. Mkulu, I took over your show. I took over your show.
No, man. Thanks for that, Zocho. Because I think we do have connectivity challenges here, and I've been switching between hotspotting the studio or continuing with Wi-Fi. But in any event, it does look like at least we are on track now. It does look like we are on track now. Major disruptions by COVID-19, and how did it affect the game economically, Lux?
I wanted to say something before we get there.
How did it affect the game from an economy point of view, match tickets and sponsors?
I don't know whether you can hear me, Prapadko. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Sure.
So look, I mean, what I wanted to say before I can get to your question is that you know, when I was
okay, go ahead.
in the rural part of the Eastern Cape, you know, we were inspired by stories of people like yourselves.
Go ahead, go ahead. I can hear you.
I think there's a delayed what you call feedback between us, but that's fine.
Yes, sir.
Look,
you said you wanted to say something before you get to my question.
Yes, correct. My point, you know, what I was saying is that, you know, when we were growing up in the rural Transkei in the Eastern Cape, we were inspired by a lot of the people, because sometimes you can only believe something if someone who comes from where you are, you know, is there. You know, people like yourself, Sturu Pasia, Zola Dunyoa, these were forever the people we looked up to. And I even remember one time seeing your car parked at Kunubi. You were driving a Kaiser Chiefs Almera, black Almera, and I wanted, you know, everyone was around you. And I also wanted to have a groupie moment with you. I was still young then. So
that's fine, yeah.
We were inspired by people like yourself. So we are grateful for opening the path and enabling us to think and see further than the mountains that were there. Now, getting back to your question, the COVID situation, I think, you know, it's this is not just a South African tragedy, it's a world tragedy. It has disrupted lives, it has caused so much heartache, it has caused so much harm, and has led to people losing jobs, to people losing their businesses. As I speak to you right now, there are people who are fighting to stay alive. There are people who have lost their lives in hospitals and so on. So for us, we are no exception as a business, because football is a business. We've been affected quite a great deal as a league. We haven't kicked a ball in 4 months. This process, we've had to juggle between a lot of things. How do we, and think and have sleepless nights about how do we save the industry going forward? Because this industry is responsible for employing 6,000 people every week minimum. This industry is responsible for the happiness index in our country. It is the heartbeat of our country. So it's too big to fail. And this industry, I dare say, is the only industry which was started by black people in the townships, in the rural areas, into a multi-billion rand industry. When I hear the narrative these days that these black people don't know how to manage a complex economy, and people seem to be buying into it, I said, come to football. In football, people from the townships, people from the rural areas built a business, and a business that gave hope, a business that didn't just give hope, but give jobs. You know, when Bushbucks was still in Mtata, Den Pasia and others, they were responsible for so many wrecks to reach, taking kids from the rural areas or the townships there and giving them hope. And that's why this industry is so important to us. So we've been affected a lot. We haven't stopped working. We've been very busy, but we're very happy to be where we are right now. We are comfortable, but there's a lot of work between now and the 8th of August.
You've weathered the storms from a PSL point of view. Being affected also lacks by the fact that the traveling has been limited from a COVID-19 lockdown alert levels, also from alert level 5, alert level 4, even alert level 3. There's still destinations where one cannot travel to by air. And what systems have you put in place now to make sure that the resumption of the league flows smoothly? I also heard that you've been working on neutral venues, and just take us through, the factors that you had to consider before you conducted the draw yesterday. We will come to the draw, of course.
Well, I mean, as you know, that this pandemic, the government had warned us that we are going to reach the peak of the pandemic around this period, and that is truly happening. Now, the question has always been, how do we play football in a safe environment? How do we continue with the business of football? Because as a business, we have to continue. As an industry, we have to continue. And there were risks that were involved, but we have to mitigate the risks. Now, a solution that we came up with is that coming up with a World Cup style. We call them biologically safe environments, which is BSEs. What are these? It's actually almost people staying in camp. No one, so everyone before they move in there, they are tested. You've got to be negative before you walk in there, 48 hours before you walk in there. You are not allowed to walk out of that hotel until the 8th of September. So once you walk inside that hotel next week, Thursday, once I walk in there, I can't leave. I'll be there until the 8th of September. The only time I leave, I jump on a bus, I go to a stadium, and I participate in a match. I go back straight to my hotel and stay in my hotel. Now, because the safety of the players is important, a lot of people have been saying we need to save lives and livelihoods. Other people are prioritizing livelihoods over lives. I don't understand that argument, to be quite honest, because these are siblings from the same parents. You can't, they are not mutually exclusive things. Lives and livelihoods, you can't ask people to choose one over the other. You've got to find a balance between these two. And I think as a PSL, actually, we have gone over and above in complying, over and above in ensuring that we've got the processes in place. I'll make an example today. The person who served you at the supermarket, when was the last time they were tested? You don't know. But in football, we're saying nobody is going to go inside this bubble or this biological safe environment until they are tested. Now, this shows that football is putting all these processes and these processes in place to mitigate all the risks, to ensure that the players who are there are negative, to ensure that the people who are working there, the doctors, the activating agencies, the club officials, the match officials, and everybody else who is inside that bubble is indeed negative.
Okay. Um, what's happening with the connectivity? But thanks for that, Luxy. Thanks for that. Um, after dealing with those kind of disruptions and the regulations regarding to the camps, how much of this affects the match officials? Because I'm trying to imagine you must have been dealing with the clubs. Number one, get the buy-in of the clubs, and then having to deal with the mother body, which from a match official's point of view, are they also subjected to these kind of camps? What is the situation around the match officials?
Yeah, look, as I said earlier on, I think I just lost you there. What is important is that anyone and everyone, be it the match official, be it a club official, be it a spectator, sorry, no spectator rather, be it a doctor, be it a broadcaster, anyone and everyone who enters this BSEs or enters a stadium, you must know this
Okay,
person.
looks like we got a delay, but you got me there, Lux.
I think you've got a network problem from your side in Kulua, which you must sort it out because it's causing a little bit of disruption in how we are. I can see you, but you keep on disappearing on me.
Okay. All right. Maybe Lux, let's come to the. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. If you can hear me now, Lux, can you hear me now?
I can, I
Okay, there's
can,
still a time delay. I think so. I think there's still
I can hear you loud and
time
clear.
delay. But if you can hear me now, I wanted us to get to the crux of the matter, the draw itself, before the network acts up on me again. Just take us through the draw from the 8th of August going forward. What are we likely to see?
So first of all, obviously, as I indicated earlier on, we've got this one province, which is province of Gauteng province is our host province. So everyone else is going to be based in Gauteng. This is going to give us an opportunity for all the teams. So again, all the teams are going to be staying in one area in Gauteng, all the hotels in the area. So only people who will be staying in these hotels are the teams, which makes sure that everybody who's going to be there is going to be safe. Now, what will happen in that process is that we had to find, because the fixture has a home and away. So home is always advantage. So all the 16 teams, actually all the 32 clubs in the PSL, we needed to give them a home, which was a challenge on its own. So what did we do? The first thing we did is that we looked at the last block fixture of the ABSA Premiership and the last block fixture of the Glad Africa Championship. So we take these two blocks and then we look at the teams that are at home on those blocks. So we take them and put them aside. The second thing we do is that we take the teams that are on the away on that last block fixture. Now, the first teams that are at home, the teams that are at home on that last fixture, they get an opportunity to draw first the home game, the home venue that they're going to be using for their home fixture. Remember, the fixture does not change. It's the dates and the venues and the kickoff times that are going to be changing. So we need to accommodate this in this safe environment of neutral venues. And also the teams that like Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates, or Bidvest, they cannot be the ones who get they cannot use their own stadiums. For example, Orlando Pirates couldn't use Orlando Stadium, Kaizer Chiefs can't use FNP Stadium, Bidvest and Sundowns can't use Lucas Morepe, and so on and so forth. So the draw had to be shaped in a way that ensures that these teams cannot possibly draw their own stadium, so to speak, to ensure that everybody has got a fair chance of competing. Remember, these are neutral venues. So we are removing the issue of home ground advantage. The second aspect of it is obviously, once you've picked up your venue, if in an event that the venues are clashing, we will do two things, right? The first thing is that we will do a double header on that day. Should you, for example, let's take an example and say Chippa United is drawn. It's not an example. So Chippa United, for example, is at Orlando Stadium together with Kaizer Chiefs. So let's say on the same day, these clubs, according to the fixture, are scheduled to play on that same day. We will do either a double header or we move one fixture by a day earlier. So in a way of ensuring that people are going to be having access to football on a daily basis. As you have noted, we've got almost games on a daily basis, starting from 1:30 to 3:30 to 6 o'clock. And I think this is going to lift the mood of the country and give people that appetite for football, and also some healthy distraction to the daily realities that we are facing. So that's how we conducted the draws. This is with the principles that were involved in us conducting the draw. I don't know how much you got on that, Kulua.
Yeah, no. I've been following you. And I think football fans have been following football activities with the overseas leagues, the Premier League in England and La Liga, where they sort of superimpose the crowd sound effects to create the vibe, and the players can feel as if the supporters are here. Is this what we are likely to see next week, Wednesday? Come the 8th, of August, the vuvuzela, the singing that we know, and it must have taken quite a lot to be able to collect all of that, particularly according to the home games of those teams. What are we likely to hear on the ear, and the players to hear on the ear as well?
Actually, when I finish this conversation with you, I'm going to a meeting exactly about that. I've seen a bit of the sample of what is going to be happening next week. I'm not allowed to talk about it. I've been sworn to secrecy about it. But next week, I think it's going to be interesting because it's important for us as African people to look at what other people are doing in Europe and whatever. We mustn't change our identity and be Europeans. We must add a little bit of what, so we think global, but we act local in that space. It's very, very important. I think the fan who's our boss, the supporter who's our boss, is going to be able to watch the game of football and also be able to be entertained in that process. As I said, I'm quite aware of what we have in store. I have another meeting just after this, whereby I'm going to see a little bit of that again when we are testing things and so forth. But I'm looking forward to the 8th of August, whereby we'll kick off with the Nedbank Cup. And then today, I don't know whether you've been following, we've released the fixture of the Absa Premiership and also the Glad Africa Championship. The first game of the season, and I'm telling you, the first game of the season is Orlando Pirates up against Mamelodi Sundowns at Dobsonville. Now, I know Mafa has got an issue with this thing of Sundowns playing at Dobsonville. It's the draw. I don't know. It happened that way.
How are we ensuring that the current, and I do believe with all the positivity, about either the scientists and doctors finding a cure or finding a vaccine, I am so positive that at some stage, the infections will lower down and the regulations around lockdown will also come down so that we're able to go back to the beautiful game again, so that the program is back on track again. How do we ensure that the CAF interclubs are not affected, so that whoever wins the league is able to, to go and participate, with the CAF club fixtures?
Yeah, I mean, look, earlier on, I was trying to explain to the viewers and the people who are joining us here today, just the process of making a fixture. We have been in contact through FA with CAF, so we understand what CAF is. I mean, we saw the resolution from the last CAF Executive Committee, which is the council, the FIFA, the CAF Council, and I think our actions and our plans are in line with what CAF is doing. Remember, right now we don't have a team that is in the semi-finals of the CAF Champions League. Of course, I don't like that. I would have preferred a South African club being there. But that kind of, in a way, also simplifies things a little bit for us and allows us to finish on time without necessarily keeping an eye on that. But it's important for us to have a representative or representatives in the Champions League and also the Confed Cup, because you've seen what it does in lifting the standards and also the prestige of the South African Football League.
Have we got scenarios, just back to the fixtures again, have we got scenarios where spectators who bought tickets, perhaps, let's say, for the Sundowns Pirates game, and now, because they cannot be part of the event anymore, and have we looked at the mechanics of how these people are reimbursed? There are people who book games quite on time, Luxy.
Yeah, not only that. I think, obviously, as you would understand, that the issue around the Absa Premiership, the events and the ticketing is done by the clubs. But I believe that the clubs have done a lot of communication with their supporters. More especially, I understand also in that game between Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates, which I thought was going to be sold out, I'm sure. But we have got also something very exciting. I don't want to talk about it. I think that will probably integrate the supporters as part of this thing. But let me not talk. Let me not get ahead of myself. Let's wait and see here. I get a little bit excited sometimes. But again, the people, to be clear, people will only be able to watch the game on television. So you can't go to the stadium at all. Stadiums are a no-go area. Irrespective, even on that day when your team is winning the Absa Premiership or Glad Africa Championship or the Nedbank Cup, you can't. You can watch on television. Now, our job and the job of our broadcast partners, which is SuperSport, is to ensure that we produce a quality product. By the way, I must take this opportunity to thank, as the chairman, Dr. Khoza, has said, must thank our partners from SuperSport to Absa, to Glad Africa, to Nedbank, to MTN, to Telkom, to Carling and Sokosan, all these people who have been part of the PSL family in ensuring that they continue to have trust and belief in us, and they continue to be great partners of this industry, not in a charity way, but in a way that is mutually benefiting, the value going both ways to us and them.
Okay, lovely, lovely. And talking about such stakeholders, you're still quite happy. We read on the news that there were glitches between you and the association when it comes to match officials, and then the next thing we read that the PSL is grateful to the Minister of Sport about an intervention. Just clarify that for us, Luxy. The last time we checked, FIFA was not very pleased when governments get into football affairs. But when we read that the Minister of Sport is coming out with some kind of a bailout for the PSL, football people were like, oh, okay, is this the new normal? So what in fact was happening in that environment? And maybe we can clarify it and put it to rest.
Yeah, I think those matters have been ventilated a lot in the media. Quite frankly, I don't think it assists the game for me to go into that. For us right now, we have to have our energy and focus on delivering a quality product that is going to bring a lot of happiness to the millions of people in South Africa. And I think it's important for us to really, really focus on that. Our country has enough bad news at the moment. There's so much bad news if you are reading. We need football to be a different narrative, to give a different narrative, the feel-good factor. And I think that's something we can definitely do. And I think that's something we have to focus on. So whatever's happened yesterday, I'm leaving for today and tomorrow. And I think the tomorrow is more exciting. The today is to prepare for the tomorrow, not to always think about what happened yesterday.
Correct. And so SAFA is still responsible for the match officials. They will still appoint match officials for those games. Lovely. Okay. And then just like back to the games themselves with the neutral venues. There was a question around. I think somebody posted a question, and I would love you to see this question. There was a question around Chippa United and Kaizer Chiefs, both based at Orlando Stadium, and the logistics around the access for the training facilities. Just clarify that for us.
So as much as we have the match venues that we have published, the teams also have training facilities that are separate from the match venues. This is to ensure that also the match venues rehabilitate themselves, because there's going to be a lot of football that is going to be played in the next couple of days. It's important that the grass, rehabilitates and so on and so forth. Now, the issues of clubs and their training, all the clubs will be given their training venues again in line with COVID. If you can see, if people knew the money and the time and effort the PSL has spent in ensuring that we don't just comply. The PSL isn't just complied. Government has given us this. This is what we have done. We have ensured that we're not just meeting the minimum requirements. We're going to punch above that and ensure that the safety of the people is very, very important. And also, I know that some of the clubs have been sharing a little bit of their videos in their camps. You can see what they are doing: sanitizing balls, sanitizing poles, making sure that the training facility on its own is sanitized at all the times. And I think that's going to be the norm going forward. But all the teams are going to have their own training grounds. There will be no clash in an event of a match. If you see in the fixture that has been released today that these teams are scheduled to play same time, same day, they will not be same time. It will be for you a feast, because it's going to be back-to-back football. And I think, I know you, I know which club you support, I know your interest at the moment. So those people, as I'm clearly on the edge of the seat and hoping, obviously, that the results go their way. For people like myself, my only stress is to ensure that the games are happening on time. We are finishing the season on the 8th of September, and afterwards we do the promotion playoffs, and then afterwards I go home.
When are we likely to, and I think Lulima Semini asks this question, when are we likely to see the new season starting, the 2020-2021?
Yo, you're asking me to think that far. I don't want to think that far. I think right now, I think I think we have been dealing here with a moving target in all aspects, right? All of us don't know, including Prof. Karim. None of us, including Doc Zweli Mkhize, no one knows what's happening tomorrow, or in the next week, or in the next month, and so on. And I think from our side, we have put that discussion on the shelf. It's there, but it's on the shelf. At the right time, we'll take it out of the shelf and discuss it. The executive committee, Dr. Koza, Mr. Mutaung, Madlala, and other people on the executive committee. That will be discussed then. And once we have a position on it, we'll definitely inform the public about it. But I think it would be impossible for us to know that now.
Just going back, and I'm sorry if I missed this point earlier on when you were talking about the various role players going on camp. Did that involve the cleaners and sanitizers of the stadium, the technical areas, and all of this kind of stuff that render the logistics and the security as well? I mean, when people know at Dobsonville Stadium or Orlando Stadium that there's a big match inside, it means there has to be massive security presence on the outside, the outer perimeter, to make sure that people don't jump the fence and go in because they're curious to see what's going on. And if you're using sound effects, the guys on the outside are hearing the sound effects probably thinking, so the securities, the cleaners, Laxi, and all of these people, are they also going on camp to make sure they don't bring the virus into this environment?
Look, we will release all the information of who's going to be on camp in the next day. Actually, I've seen the list. I don't want to jump the gun because it's still going through a few channels and so forth. What is important right now is that what I can tell you for a fact, anyone who's going to be in direct contact with the players is definitely going to be tested, including myself. Everybody who's going to be tested. I've been tested a few times myself because I'm in the space, and it's important for all of us to comply with this and ensure that the athletes are safe. How are we going to do the issue of security and all those other things? We will announce that in the next day or two. But also we are trusting people to comply. We have a lot of trust in people that they are going to comply. I know that football is 90 minutes of madness, whereby you lose your mind, you lose your thinking and rationale for 90 minutes. It happens to me sometimes. So, but at the same time, we've got to ensure that the people comply, the people are at home and watching the games, because the games are going to be on television.
My guest today, Luxolo, Lux September, is the PSL senior manager. We're having a conversation about the PSL games that are going to be starting quite soon. Neutral venues, players, cleaners, security, everybody, PSL officers. I would love to imagine also stadium groundsmen, those people that move the poles, move the technical bench around, when everybody's just going on camp just to make sure that this environment is quite safe for the players. Laxi, the clubs themselves, how have they come on board in terms of preparing players mentally, so that players know that it is as highly competitive as if the supporters were there, so that players also don't treat it like a practice match? Have clubs been involved in some kind of motivationals for the players and getting the players psychologically ready for this new norm that we're getting into?
Well, first of all, I must say to you, it's a very costly exercise financially, right, for everyone, the clubs, the league, and everybody else who's involved, right? Secondly, why we go through all this trouble? We've got to protect the integrity of the game. The results must be decided on the field of play. Whoever wins the Absa Premiership, I think there are 3 teams or 4 teams that are in the mix of winning the ABSA Premiership. Whoever is relegated in the ABSA Premiership, whoever wins the Clear Africa Championship, whoever is relegated in the Clear Africa Championship, it must all happen on the field of play, all these things, right? So the integrity of the game is very important. Now, part of that integrity is the performance that the players put. You've seen that the last couple of days and weeks, the clubs, subject to them, with all the regulations that have been put in place and protocols, have been allowed to go back in training, first in small groups, and gradually increasing that. But again, subject to very strict protocols. Now, this has included a lot of psychological preparation for everyone that is involved. Because the situation is not normal, not only in football, it's not normal everywhere in the world. So there is no normal business. But what was very important for the league is for the executive committee, for the board of governors, the 32 members, was that the competition must be finished on the field of play, and that's what we have to do. So to answer your question, I think there's been a lot of work that has been done. Everyone knows what's at stake. When people know what's at stake, you don't need to say nothing to them.
Luxy, let me just take this question from Utera. Utera is asking why you chose Gauteng, and whereas Gauteng is now the hotspot in as far as the infections, and how Gauteng is hectic, and yet you've decided to do it in Gauteng?
That's a very good question, by the way. Now, I need to go back, take 2 steps back. The concept that we came up with is a concept of everyone moves into a safe environment. Now, the safe environment means that everyone who is inside there has been tested. So we have come up with what we call biological safe environments. It's camp-style hotels. So anyone who goes inside the camp has to be tested, has to be negative, right? Now, nobody is allowed to leave this camp in between the games up until the last game of the season. That means that no one is going to get inside that space without being tested. Now, you can stay just anywhere else. You can take it to Namako, you can take it to Gauteng. The concept is the same. If you've got the hotels have been sanitized, have been disinfected, whatever it is, everybody moves in that area. First is tested. As I said, even in Lusikisiki, you can take it there, put people in a hotel, and once those people are inside the hotel, they don't leave. Now, this means that there is no contact between people who are negative and people who are positive. Now, it obviously kicks out the notion of why a hotspot, because we are not exposing the athletes to a daily interaction with anyone else who has not been vetted and tested and accredited. Why Gauteng? Well, it's simple. We had to look at a province because you must remember, on the last game of the ABSA Premiership and Clear Africa Championship, you've got 16 games. 16 games. Now you've got to have 8 games are going to be playing simultaneously, same time. You can't play this one at 3 o'clock, this one at 3:30. Now, what this means is that everybody must play same time. To ensure this happens, we have to ensure that we have a province that can have the capacity to deliver this. And Gauteng ticks the boxes. I'm from the Eastern Cape. I probably would love to have in this, but no place in the Eastern Cape. If you go to East London, it's only 2 stadiums that can do this. If you go to Port Elizabeth, same thing. Cape Town or whatever it is.
If you go to KZN between Durban and Maritzburg, you would and KZN is quite low with infections actually, and you could achieve that between Durban and Pietermaritzburg facilities.
But we have to distance ourselves from the argument of infection or no infection, because the whole concept of biological safe environment doesn't depend on the number of infections in a particular place. So you can have the games anywhere else, is irrespective of infections, because the people who are moving in that area. Now, the argument would be valid if we were putting people anywhere else. For example, the players were staying at home and going to play every day. Now, the argument is a very valid argument that this is a high sport area, a high risk area. Why do it? But these people have been moved in a place where the risk has been mitigated quite tightly. The issue of Durban, I mean, it's no secret that the PSL was talking between KZN, Northwest, and it's no secret that we're talking between Northwest, KZN, and also Gauteng in this process. And the decision was to go to Gauteng again. Forget the issues of hotspot, virus hotspot, because it doesn't matter in this environment.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's another argument when they say the virus is even airborne and you get to a hot spot. But I think I hear you in terms of the in terms of your model. In terms of your model.
But you are assuming that the players are going to be wandering around scenting to catch the virus airborne. You're staying in your hotel and you're the only one who's staying in that hotel. Remember, the only time you leave that hotel, you go to the stadium. You go and play.
You go to the stadium, you go for training, and while you're on transit to training, and while you're training, and but I hear you. I think I do support the concept. Yeah.
No, you are inside the bus. You are inside the bus. You get off training, which has been a disinfected area again. You train, jump back on the bus, go back to your hotel. No going anywhere else. Every day of your life for the next 30 days, we are going to be doing this.
Wow. Okay. Like September, our guest, and there is another question. You might have touched on this, but Upindile probably might have missed it. Upindile Chawe, each match, just probably to go through that for the sake of Upindile and others who might have missed it.
So today, I'm actually going to my email now to find the fixtures, because I believe this afternoon we released the fixture of the Absa Premiership and also the Glad Africa Championship. It's on our website, www.psl.co.za. The kickoff times for the Absa Premiership matches is going to be between 1:30, 3:30, and 6 o'clock every day. Now, 1:30 will mainly have it on weekends, but 3:30 and 6 o'clock is going to be everyday fixture. For the Glad Africa Championship, we're going to be playing at 1:30 and 3:30 mainly, but also sometimes at 6 o'clock, depending obviously to the fixture. Every day you're going to be able to watch game on television. I know people are on lockdown. I'm not. Well, I'm on lockdown, but I must be in my office and go to my house. But this is going to give an opportunity for people to enjoy football. So when now Prapadko, in between being very busy, you'll be having an opportunity to leave the mall and come and watch football.
Yeah. Okay, like September, it is only a few seconds to the hour of 6. Well, we couldn't start on time, so we'll take the referee's optional time and add on a few minutes just for us to be able to iron out and wrap up a few things. And I think, Lux, when it comes to the actual fixtures, you've clarified the story. It's a fascinating story, and it's going to be generating a lot of interest on television. People watching the PSL games on telly. Maybe just to deviate slightly and say the other lower divisions, because the lower divisions feed to the higher divisions. You know, you got the ABC Mutsepe leagues, you got the what used to be called the Castle League, and all of these divisions. Are these divisions also playing to make sure that come promotion time, come relegation time, they also participating in feeding either up or going down with the Glad and the PSL as well? Because with the Glad, there has to be promotion, there has to be relegation. When there's relegation in the Glad, who then comes up to the Glad? So I heard you talk about the PSL and the Glad only. Talk to me about the lower divisions.
Well, I mean, I leave that question, the competency of that is with the association, with my association to SAFA. I'm sure at the right time they will have an opportunity to address this. I don't know what their position is on it, but I'm sure they will be the ones who are competent. They are the competent body because the PSL only runs the Clear Africa Championship, the professional football in this country, which is Clear Africa Championship and the ABSA Premiership. That's the only two divisions we are responsible for. The association, which is SAFA, is responsible for the rest of the league. So they will be able to give us a direction on that.
The broadcast of games, we'll leave that. And the broadcast of the games, Luxi, you spoke about television only, and what's happening with radio? Will consumers be able to listen to the games covered on the traditional radio stations that usually do the games in the African languages? That excitement. Will the radio stations be part of this? Are they also going on camp?
So I'll tell you what, I don't want to steal the shine.
No,
I know Gary.
Denzel ntoba kungalahleki umsasazi athi hayi okokoko until September okokoko ndisasazi games kanti umsasazi sorry coach sorry Madiba angalahleki ucoach athi ebecover games hayi sukuhleka
andifuna wabethekela amadoda because
so the radio stations.
On a serious note, I think the SABC, I know Gary Rathbone, the new general manager there, they want to make their own announcement on this issue of how they're going to be covering the game. But the access, football belongs to everyone in this country. And the league, the PSL always endeavors and makes sure that the person who's in Kobo, the person who's a Bofolo, the person who's Lambert or wherever it is, a Kailecha, they have access to it. In Toyando, they have access to the game. And that's very, very important because, I'm from the rural areas. And the people there, even though there are televisions now, the people there still predominantly consume football on radio. True FM, whatever it is. And that's how their source of information is. And I think that channel has been very, very important for the PSL. I know that the social media for Marco Boca is now fashionable, but for a lot of people it's not. It's still a daily reality.
I do want to believe that probably each media house then would be having plans to fit into this system, camp all the way. I also am imagining that the newspapers who also cover games, and they would are they also making preparations to make sure they're part of the camp throughout, particularly if they'll be accessing stadiums and rubbing shoulders and doing one-on-ones with coaches and players. All the journalists across, regardless of whether it's print or electronic, so are they on board with this plan so that their media houses also get to budget for these kind of camps?
Well, that's a discussion. I don't want to reveal the plans now because I might upset some people in the media on this. But I believe, I'm led to believe that there's going to be, I was talking to my colleague, Fatu, who is responsible for that, and I believe quite strongly that there is a interaction with media on that space. All over the world, though, I need to tell you that the press conferences and all have been done virtually now. You don't have to be at the stadium. You can sit in your newsroom or at your house. And the league, through technology, ensures that they connect you to the coach and you're part of the press conference and so on. And you can do the match report off Cube and so on. Now, I assume, I don't want to preempt, but I assume that's going to be the gist of these discussions between the media and the Premier Soccer League going forward. But we will have formal interactions with them. I know that we've got a formal structure with journalists in Savja. So I'm sure we'll be dealing with them and other people outside that formal structure to ensure that we find an amicable and a good solution for everyone.
Like I said, before we release you, I think we got to touch also on the issue of the movement of players, the sale of players, the sale of teams. Incredibly, lockdown also saw a sale of a team, a historical team. And what implications did the sale of Vets, Bidvest Vets, to Chakuma? What implications did this have on the PSL, your plans? And how did it affect your plans? Are these guys changing colors? Are they changing this? And how did it affect your plans in putting together this new biology?
Well, I'll tell you what, nothing changes in the 2019-2020 season at all. There's zero changes. Whatever changes might be, and we haven't communicated anything as yet publicly, we will at the right time on this, but nothing changes now. Bidvest Vets is going to be on the field on the 9th of, on the 12th of September, of August, playing together with other teams. So nothing is going to change at all in that space. Everything else on what has been in the media and so on, we'll deal with it when we finish the season, and then we can answer a lot of these questions. But football is a business. You must understand that. The club owners, Dr. Koza likes to say, they don't have a payroll; they are the payroll. And everybody else is being affected by the global meltdown that is caused by the coronavirus and other external factors. It's macroeconomics that are affecting micro issues in people's businesses, in the operations, in other interests they have outside their business, which might be football and so on. So I don't necessarily want to go into that. The issues of players and the player movement and so on, we will announce again the transfer window and so on as soon as or close to completing the season. But the players were out of contract and they agree on terminations and all. There's nothing wrong about that. If the players are out of contract,
well, I think the interest would be if Maluleke left Kaizer Chiefs and signs for Sundowns, and the next time they sign, if they came with a yellow card from Kaizer Chiefs, and what happens in the next game where they donning a Sundowns jersey and they get another yellow card, does it count that they had a yellow when they came over?
No, I have bad news for Sundowns fans. Maluleke won't even be allowed to play. So those players are not allowed to play. We've moved from one club to the other during this period. There is no registration period now. The only people you can register, obviously, MDC players and so on and so forth. But there is no provision for that as yet.
Okay, finally, just help me with the Chakuma and Bidvest environment. Is that effective when the season is done? Not currently. It will not affect this particular period that we're talking about.
I was trying to dance around your question, but you clearly are trying to ensure that you hook me back in the circle there, I see. Look, I don't necessarily want to talk. I can see you still have it, the movement. Mkulu, I don't want to talk about that period. I mean, that particular issue, because what I can tell you for a fact is that on the fixture list, we've got Bidvest Vets in the Absa Premiership. We've got Chakuma in the Clear Africa Championship. That is clear. Finish and clear. Now, what happens next season? We will discuss. We will make the announcement in relation to any of these things, whether it's true or not. I don't necessarily want to talk about it at the moment. We've deliberately, if you see, we have deliberately not said anything about it, and we are not going to say it now.
So Bidvest Vets will play in Bidvest Vets jerseys with their coach.
100%.
And that is the status quo now as we get into this period. Okay, lovely. You've answered me. You've answered me there, Laxi. Well, Laxi, look, thank you so much. I think apologies that we had some technical glitches when we began the conversation, but I'm happy and I'm looking forward to it. I promise you, I'm looking forward to it. Some of us who work from home, between work and television, checking the games, it's going to be exciting. By the way, you said the last day in September. What day will be when you're crowning Kaiser Chiefs as champions? Sorry. No. Sorry. When you're crowning the champions, when you, when you, when you, when, when, when you're crowning the champions, when you're crowning the champions, it's a mistake. Yes, yeah. What day?
So here's what I know for a fact. The last day of the Absa Premiership will be on the 5th, or Saturday, the 5th of September. That's the day. Now, who will be the champion? Hey, and it might be yourself. It might be Pastor. When I know more fun of and other guys. So I don't know. For me, the most important thing is that the games must carry on. I have no vested interest on who becomes the champion, of course. I only have interest on.
Yeah.
As long as I am the champion.
Like September. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much, man. We really look forward to it. We're hoping that the stadiums will be blaring a South African sound effect so that we feel we're part of it. We're hoping. We know that you still have meetings pending and decisions pending when it comes to this, but we're hoping that we will get a South African feeling of the game, Namagwijo, and people singing and the vuvuzelas and all. We are already excited. We are already excited about it. Thank you so much, Lux, and good luck for your camp as well. Hey, good luck for your camp as well. Nifutha ke madoda ecampini. Kamanda abantu bebhola kudala bafutha. Futhwa right through ebholeni. Kufutwa right through. Ufuna lead, uyafutha. Ufuna trophy, uyafutha. Ufuna medal, uyafutha. Into yokufutha ebholeni ayintshanga, Lux, man, please.
I can tell you. I mean, I'm going to camp as well. I'm going to probably out of there mid-September. Unfortunately, because I'm going to stay for the playoffs.
So like see, ikhaqeba ze-clubs nazo ziye-camping right through. Right through. Special projects. Khwele team nganye madoda, please.
Ndafundisa into yokubana ndiyiphethe into ezandayibona, so inzima ethe undiva, so I can't. I've had this rumor in football. I've been in football for a few years now. I've not seen it.
Uyamkhumbula the late Imeka Mamale.
Yes, I remember Imeka.
Ingwenya idlala ngeplaster emhlophe up.
I remember very well. Yeah.
No, and his spectators used to think that mhlawumbe uneqhakuva or isilonda esingapholiyo or something. Yeah. Kanti pha phansi kwala plaster kukho into engathi imbotyi pha. Ingwenya ikora kakhulu ngenhloko. Ka. Kuthiwa corner kick. Ka. Imeka Mamale. Free kick. Ka. Imeka Mamale. Uyabo irhaqeba yakhe ithe hey ungayikhuphi le nto apha wena. Kuba nje wayisusa nje rayide ngephansi kweplaster sifile. Irhaqeba yakhe Lux, mamela Lux. Irhaqeba yakhe from back at home ezayiye irhaqeba yakhe emxelela ukuthi wena ungalali ne-striker ecampini. Sike sathi ngo 2001 when we were playing the Africa Cup Winners' Cup, Mandela Cup, and we were somewhere, I think Seychelles or somewhere. Telemann, sabona uImeka isize passaging. Hamba nge-underpants emhlophe, line emingxuma. Imeka, what's going on now? Thina sizihlelele sizipholele. We're having some drinks and Hey, uImeka uyeza ngapha. Udoctor wayerhuqa phansi umdokisi efile ukuhleka. Imeka, what is going on now? Uthi uImeka, no good boss, no good boss. Sithi, what is it that is not good, Imeka? No good boss. Me, Imeka, striker, I sleep with Vukubi, striker. Striker me, he sleep. Striker Vukubi, he wake up, he kill striker me. Ah! Hey, Sakonda, no, ayisebenzi man dideng. Ayisebenzi lento yodibanisa uImeka nesinye striker. Hey, we have to wake up Jacob Chiseve somewhere. Said, hey, Mchekana, come boy, come. Yeah, take your bags and go to partner with Imeka. Otherwise, sing again. Some Dennis go to aye kwenye room. So le camp uthetha ngayo ke Luxy, I'm making an example. Le camp nithetha ngayo madoda kwi-PSL, I hope nizilungiselela irhaqeba ze-clubs, please, nabathandazeli. You nabathandazeli be-holy water nerhaqeba ze-clubs, I hope you've prepared for all of that, please. Please. Please, as a belief. Uyabona nala madoda kule Soweto derby yokugqibela, la madoda ebebhizi phaa ezipalini, ebhizi ezipalini. Lo madoda, I hope niwalungiselele ekhempini man, please. Hey, iipali zamabhakajuju bezinamadoda abhizi phaa epalini.
I refuse to get involved in this discussion.
putcomafani Conversations with Luxy September. Thank you so much, Luxy. And have a fine evening. Stay safe and be safe for yourself and for your family and for your colleagues at the league as well. You know, we encourage that people adhere to the precautionary measures of COVID-19, you know. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, Lux. All the best. We look forward to it. We will be there to support it on radio and television. Thank you.
And once again, thanks to you and your generation and those before you for inspiring us and making sure that it's possible for us to be here today. So
thank you so much. Thanks, Luxy. Sure.